we have to put God first. The first commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's the second commandment. So we got to keep first things first, second things second. And when we because that's where Heidi Baker comes in, is like, I don't know if this is what you were talking about, but I was reminded of this, she has such a revelation of, for those that haven't heard about her, I mean, she's been a missionary in Mozambique for her and her husband, Roland, for decades, and through them, God has brought millions of people to Christ and thousands of people healed, and just amazing revival and different things there in Mozambique and around the world. And I remember hearing a message from her about just the importance of abiding, that even with all her responsibility with thousands of churches in the ministry, thousands and thousands of churches, like, her first priority is spending time with Jesus still. I mean, I think at that point she said she carved out 5 hours, the first 5 hours, for God. And that sometimes even some of her staff were complaining. It's like, well, we could get a lot done if you got in here before 10 a.m. But she's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And Jesus is more important than anything else.
Right.
And even more than people. And he can do more through us as we enjoy him and grow in relationship with him than we could ever do in our own efforts.
Right.
And there's lots of examples we could share on that.
Yeah.
But
it's just amazing. Just like supernatural productivity. Like when we trust God, he can do things in 2 hours that we thought would take 10.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean,
yeah.
I just feel in my heart to share this. The example she gave was, in that message I heard a while ago, was that there's a group in the ministry that really didn't understand this revelation of intimacy first and abiding first. And they went into a town and they just worked, evangelized, preached the gospel for weeks on end. And after several weeks with zero fruit, they came back exhausted, burnt out, and they said, that place is impossible. It's impossible. And then Heidi Baker goes there one weekend and revival breaks out the first night.
No.
And so it's like, what's the difference? Not the amount of work they did, but the amount of intimacy they have with Jesus.
Yeah. Wow. And right there is obedience being better than sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the ones that like worked so hard felt like they were like doing it because like they were sacrificing so much. But it's like first, like we love Jesus first, and like that is like really, I'm so glad you brought up too, just like about fearing God more than man, because that's the heart of this whole thing. The whole reason that I used to say yes to so much was because I feared man. Like, I'm not ashamed to say it, because thank you God for redemption, and of course there's still moments I'm still growing in this, but it's like we cannot fear man. Like, that will keep us from what God has from us, for what God has for us. And so it's just like amazing. So good. Yeah.
And so maybe we'll end on this, that we have to remember that in obedience being better than sacrifice, the first thing he's calling us to is to love him.
Yeah.
So that obedience there is better than anything else.
Yeah. And finding our identity in our relationship with him and not in what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not employees.
No.
We're sons and daughters. We're friends.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place. Yeah. And we can dine with him. We can open the door, let him in, and dine with him, fellowship with him. Yay, Jesus.
Yay, Jesus. And from that place, like, the most beautiful things can happen, because now it's in friendship, it's in fellowship with him.
Yeah.